I'm joined in studio by Luby Rush. She's from Making Course, and she's going to speak to us today about something very, very close to her heart, and that's indigenous food. Luby, thank you so much for joining us today.
That's my pleasure.
Now, what we don't realize is most of what we eat day in and day out isn't actually South African.
Indeed. When the settlers arrived here and set up a sort of way station for the route through to the east on the spice route, they brought foods which began to be grown here, for example, in the company's gardens. They arrived and there wasn't really a farming tradition in this country yet. The people that were living here at the southern tip of Africa were foraging and collecting foods as they moved around. So there wasn't really any farming of food as such here. And in fact, that is pretty much still the case. There are a few things which are farmed now, like rooibos and honeybush and bohu and so forth, waterblommetjies. But for the most part, 99.9% of our diet is non-South African foods. And that's something which I really hope in time will change, because in fact there are all sorts of delicious things, and in fact I think commercially viable things that we could be growing.
I suppose that's the other argument people may say to you, but Luby, we're making money off our apples and our oranges. How on earth can we make money off this? But you say it is commercially viable.
Some of them definitely, I would say, are going to be commercially viable. In trying to publicize South African foods, I'm not suggesting that we're going to replace the foods that we already eat with a fully South African diet. I think that would be a crazy notion. But I really do think that we should start including really local foods into our diet for a number of reasons. For example, in the Western Cape we have winter rainfall, and so there are a whole lot of things which go dormant in the summer and then push up as soon as the rains come. And those it would make in a dry climate world would make a lot of sense to be farming with those sorts of things, where if we're growing summer crops they need to be irrigated right through the summer season. And then of course eating truly local is it's a kind of a catchy idea, but I think has a real green basis to it. And also just from the point of view of eating food that comes from here, I think is a healthier option. And of course it's incredibly interesting because you're adding a whole bunch of flavors that we don't know.